You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Let's get right to it. Jack Wilson with us. Jack is the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia. He's running for re-election. The re-election campaign will be decided, the chairmanship of the party will be decided in a drive-by non-assembled convention across the state on August 15th. And Jack is one of three candidates running, and he is the incumbent, and he has been a pro-Trump supporter from the beginning. Jack and I have had our differences, no doubt, but Jack, great to have you with us.
Great to have you this morning, John. Happy Friday to you.
All right, a couple things I got to say right off the bat. Number one, you've been a Trump supporter from day one. You've never wavered on it. During the 2016 campaign where we had a lot of issues, and I ran for delegation chairman, and we were fighting the Cruz and the Cuccinelli people. While you didn't take a side, you were always fair to us. We never felt like we were getting screwed. Every time we had something, we came to you. You were a fair arbitrator of it, and I respect that. But I tell you what, going forward, I don't think we need a change right now. So I am unequivocally going to right now, John Fredericks Show, endorsing Jack Wilson for re-election to Republican Party of Virginia chairman.
Well, I think the number one thing we do in Virginia is do what you're talking about. We need to rally around President Trump, and we need to do everything we can to turn Virginia red to support the president. And that's how we start unifying this party again. We need to win, and we need to win around the president's banner. And I think we've got that enthusiasm. We just need to come together as a party, grow the party, become the big tent party again that allows for diverse views, and win with President Trump at the top of the ticket.
You have been attacked by some of the others that are running against you unequivocally, that the campaign has no money, that the party doesn't have an executive director, that you've not fared well in both 2018 and 2019. How do you respond to that?
Well, John, I think some of that, we obviously had some challenges in 2018, and I think a lot of that was because the president wasn't on the ballot. 2019, we ran into some headwinds with judicial gerrymandering of our legislative districts, et cetera. But really, the party's in strong financial position. I had an executive or a state central committee meeting last night and went into executive session and laid out the finances of the party, and we are strong. In fact, given the circumstances we've had to endure the last couple of months with this virus, we are actually in a much stronger position than I thought we would be. We're actually above our budget, a budget which was prepared last fall. So we are weathering this storm, and we are prepared to take the fight to the Democrats this year. We've got congressional candidates in every congressional district. We've got a strong United States Senate candidate in Daniel Gade to take on Mark Warner. And now's the time for the party to unify and continue to work together to win Virginia for President Trump. And that's what I'm going to do. You and I have worked together over the years, and most recently as chairman. You know that I'm a strong supporter of the president. I've not wavered in that. I have encouraged our candidates who are running to rally behind the president as opposed to running away from him. Those that run away from him lose. Those that rally behind him win. And that's a message that I'm communicating to our candidates this year as well.
Well, it's interesting. I've had your chief opponent, Rich Anderson, former House of Delegates member, really nice guy, former retired colonel, Air Force colonel. I have a good relationship with him, but I can't vote for Rich Anderson. I've had him on my show 8 times. He's never taken a position on anything. He was an avowed never Trumper at the beginning. I don't really trust where he's at now. The guy that runs his campaign, Nick Collette, nice young fella. I like Nick, did a good job for Obenshain, never Trumper. And so here's our position. I mean, we're going into the election. I want to make Virginia competitive. Am I going to go with avowed never Trumpers that now say they're okay with him? Or am I going to go with somebody like Jack Wilson, who's been with us from the beginning? And certainly when I was chairman in 2016 and John Whitbeck was chairman of the RPV, you were chairman of the 4th District. You guys gave me all the help. Anytime I called up, you guys were there. But I'll tell you the other thing that disturbs me here. All right, Jack. You're not going to grow this party as long as the conventioneers are in control. As long as we have these asinine conventions where we can topple sitting congressmen like Denver Riggleman by rigging these conventions, it tears the soul out of the party. it rips out the heart of it, it bleeds it to death, and it's dumping us into the crapper. And until somebody can stand up to these people, what I call them the conventioneer riggers, you're never going to build this party. You have to have primaries. You have to have proven candidates who can win in a primary, raise money, knock on doors, campaign. And what the conventioneers want to do, led by Chris and Diana Shores, again, nice people. I call them Bonnie and Clyde. I make the money every time I say that, because anybody that wants to be a nominee by rigging a convention, call up Chris and Diana Shores, Bonnie and Clyde of Virginia Politics, pay them money, they're going to rig the convention, and you're going to win. So they make money. They're happy. The bottom line is, I've given Rich Anderson multiple opportunities to stand up to these people. He refuses to do it. So my fear is he becomes the chairman, and basically he's the tool of the convention rigateers. I've seen nothing to the contrary. Here's for example, okay? So the conventioneers of the party right now, they want to eliminate a number of representatives, right, on the state central committee. That, and I'm going to let you go into this, but it has to do with the Virginia Federation of Republican Women, the college Republicans, the young Republicans. They all have seats on the state central committee. They're all notoriously pro-primary. And what they want to do is change the party plan to eliminate them, throw the young people out, throw the women out, in order to shrink the party down further. So keep it small, control it all. Jack, how do you stand on this?
Well, I am firmly opposed and have been opposed since the minute this proposal came out. You know, my approach to the party and party leadership is I look at everything through the prism of, will this action grow our party or will it shrink the party? Will it make the tent bigger or will it make it smaller? And the proposal that's been put out to reduce the size of the State Central Committee, in my view, is it will destroy the party. It eliminates a lot of varying views that are necessary to be heard at the leadership of the party. And so I've been opposed to this from the beginning. When you start reducing the representation of the VFRW, some of the hardest working volunteers we have in the party, when you reduce the voices of the young Republicans, which is the future of our party, and you reduce the voices of the college Republicans, you're clearly sending a message that your views that we don't want to hear aren't going to have a seat at the table. So I have been opposed to that from the beginning. I called on all my opponents back in March to join me in that, and I'm still waiting for that public announcement from the other two that they're opposed to this as well. You mentioned the convention process, and John, I have to agree with you. In years past, I would look at a convention as a possible method of nomination, but the conventions that I have been involved in over the last 4 or 5 years have been a disaster for the party. They do not grow the party, they create division, and they create rancor within our party, and they are not successful. So we really need to focus on how we're going to nominate our candidates in a way that grows our party, brings in more viewpoints, and that is a primary. But this proposal from this committee to shrink the size of the State Central Committee is clearly the wrong way to go. I look and have the benefit of serving on the Republican National Committee since I'm the chairman, so I get to interact with a lot of other states and a lot of other state leaders. And the more successful parties have a larger State Central Committee. They don't have a smaller one. They have more voices heard at the table, and so this proposal is absolutely the wrong way to go. I'm opposed to it, and I will be opposed to it.
And this is the key reason why I cannot vote for Rich Anderson. The other guy, I've never talked to him. He's never called me up. I don't even know who he is. He can't win. But this is the reason I'm not going to vote for Rich Anderson. I had Rich Anderson on my show 8 times. I asked him to take a position on all this stuff. He refuses to do it. So as far as I'm concerned, he's basically going to be the tool of Bonnie and Clyde and the convention rigateers. Obviously, he's okay with that. He was okay with the 5th. He was okay with the 97th. With that debacle that went down with Chris Peace, I guess Anderson is okay with all this stuff. I'm not. And we have to change it. When you have a primary, you had a primary for the U.S. Senate, right? Daniel Gade won. He got 60 or 70%. He had to go out there. He had to campaign, do mailers, raise money, right? he's the winner. That's it. You go to these conventions like the one in the 5th that got rigged by Bonnie and Clyde with paid of Bob Good making key votes, and now you look at the 5th district and the Democrats have put that in play, and they're likely to win that. Now it's tied in the polls. They're going to spend a huge amount of money. Bob Good can't raise any. He didn't have to in the raid convention. And then everybody's mad at everybody. You leave these conventions, it's hand-to-hand combat. They're rigged. Everybody's pissed. How the hell does that grow the party?
Well, it doesn't, and that's the problem I see with conventions. Again, in the past, I'd looked at them a little differently, but my experience, and you were there in the 2016 state convention, the rancor that we exhibited
the Harrisonburg heist?
Yeah, that was, but the booing, the yelling, you would have thought there was Democrats on one side of the auditorium and Republicans on the other.
It was horrible.
But it was the equivalent, it's the standard Republican on Republican violence that we've got to get rid of in this party, and the only way we get rid of it is to grow the party. We need to have more diverse voices, and the convention process has destroyed the party in the last several years, and frankly, I agree with you. We've got to do better. And that's why one of the reasons I am running for re-election is because we've got to grow this party. And the way we do that is by growing the tent. And we work hard with President Trump. We make sure that we get the infrastructure we need to run the state party. We're growing that. We've got the resources coming in. I've got a financial plan that, of course, is being retooled a little bit because of the virus. But we have a track forward that's going to make this party strong, and we're going to start winning again. And we got to do it with people that understand how the party works, what works and what doesn't work, and that's why I'm running for re-election.
So your platform basically is we want to focus our energy in the next 100 days to make Virginia competitive for the president. We've also got 2 swing districts, the 2nd and the 7th, that are going to be very close. We already have a nominee for the 2nd, that's Scott Taylor. I think he's dead even right now with Elaine Loria in the polls I've seen. He's got a shot to win that. And it's either going to be Nick Freitas, John McGuire in the 7th going up against Abigail Spanberger. That's a tougher haul because she's one of the best candidates they have. But there's a lot at stake here. I don't see we're changing horses in the middle of the stream going into a presidential election where Virginia's on the bubble as it is makes any sense. I'm going to tell you the other thing. If we have any hope of getting any resources, and we did get some in 2016. We did get Eric Trump gave us $2.5 million, or not gave us, but signed off on it at the end, where we were able to make the state close. If we're going to have any hope at making Virginia competitive and getting funding from the RNC, getting investment in infrastructure and advertising from the Trump campaign, I think it's got to be done with, you're not going to get it with a chairman who's got a history of being a never Trumper like Rich Anderson. You're not going to get it with Nick Collette in there, who's going to probably be his ED, who is an avowed never Trumper. I just don't think you're going to get that. I don't think it makes any sense. Coupled with the fact that where's Rich Anderson on this change in the party plan to dramatically reduce the number of representatives on the state central committee? Why would, in this time of a shrinking base in Virginia, would you be throwing out the VFRW, the Virginia Federation of Women? Why would you be throwing out the representatives on the college Republicans? Why would you be throwing out the YRs, the Young Republicans? These are the people you need in your infrastructure to rebuild the party. Why would you throw them out right before a presidential campaign and toss them out of the party? Who the hell does this? Why are they doing it? Because keep it small, control it all. Doesn't matter if you win. Doesn't matter about the electoral outcome. As long as you control your little unit, as long as you can get your conventions to keep paying Bonnie and Clyde, as long as you can do that, they're fine with it. They don't mind getting beat in the 5th district as long as they can get their nominees in. This is sick. Rich Anderson had 8 opportunities on my show to stand up to it. He's not done it. As far as I'm concerned, he's thrown in with him.
Well, and again, I go back to what you started there with, John, and the importance of the relationships with the Trump campaign and the Republican National Committee. I've developed those. I know those players. I've been working with the Trump campaign for over a year now in Virginia. We've had the state director on the ground for a year at this point, and that field staff has been built out. I've been interacting with them on a regular basis for a year, and the same with the Republican National Committee. And so those relationships are key for the resources we're going to need in order to carry Virginia for President Trump. And you're right, you can't just do that and turn the party on a dime in an election cycle like this. As critical as it is, those relationships and the ability to direct money to Virginia is key. And again, you're right. The other point is when we're working with the president to reelect him, to elect Daniel Gade and get rid of Mark Warner, elect congressional delegates or congressional representatives from all around Virginia, we do it by growing the party. We don't do it by shrinking the party. We do it by empowering our college Republicans and empowering our young Republicans and recognizing and further empowering the hardworking women of the VFRW. So we grow the party that way. We unify around the president. We unify around Daniel Gade. We unify around our congressional candidates, and we turn Virginia red. That's how we do it, and we grow the party, not shrink it in the process.
Well, that's why you've got my full backing and endorsement, Jack, because you want to grow the party, not shrink it into oblivion, which the convention rigateers are attempting to do. And, Rich Anderson just hasn't stood up to them. So if he's not stood up to them now in a campaign, he certainly isn't going to stand up to them when push comes to shove. That's why I'm voting for Jack Wilson for Republican Party of Virginia chairman. And let me just ask you one question here. I got a text in from Christine in Northern Virginia. She says, ask Jack what the party is going to, all these Republican PACs running for Joe Biden.
Well, again, frankly, these Republican PACs are really current PACs. The president's got the support of the rank-and-file Republicans. We had 9 alternate delegate at-large spots to fill for essentially a ceremonial trip to Jacksonville. We had 105 people seek those positions because the enthusiasm in Virginia for the president is strong. Clearly, we're going to call out those Republicans who have always been never-Trumpers or still never-Trumpers. They're looking for a last bit of glory, but they're really Democrat fronts, and we're going to call them out as appropriate as the campaign goes on.
Jack Wilson, good luck hanging there.